Welcome to the We Get Real AF podcast, everybody. I am Sue Robinson.
And I'm Vanessa Alava. Please make sure to subscribe, rate, and comment on the show and follow us on social media at We Get Real AF across all social platforms.
Today, we are doing another Sue and Vanessa Talk Tech. These are conversations we like to have about things going on in the world of science and technology that affect all of us. So I'll let Vanessa start as I'm still getting a few things set up here on my screen.
Yeah, sure. So, very interesting article about COVID vaccines and women's menstrual cycles. There have been reports of women and girls experiencing changes to their cycles after receiving their shots. Anything from irregularity, pain, heavy bleeding, even postmenopausal women who haven't had a period in years have started to see like a period for the first time in a very long time, obviously, after receiving the vaccine. So 5 institutions are coming together to conduct research and studies to examine if there is in fact a correlation between the vaccine and the onset of these reported menstrual changes. Um, First and foremost, we want to say that getting the vaccine is first and foremost the thing that you should be doing. It's like our first super like I think the closest thing to a guaranteed uh, barrier between you and COVID. Like it's the one thing that we have that can like hopefully put us ahead of the game right now. That's like what the science is showing, right? Um, and any symptoms that you might feel from COVID are going to be hopefully less than not having the vaccine. So that's first and foremost, right? This is just anecdotal. There are people starting to say, hey, I've seen a change. But as most women know, right? Abnormal periods are a lot more common than many people think. It could be, temporary changes can range from stress, changes in diet, exercise, routines in general, to more serious health conditions. So I just want to stress right now, there is no known link between the vaccine and these changes. But since reproductive health and menstrual cycle data aren't usually common data points that are collected when clinical trials happen, that's why these organizations are getting together and saying, hey, we're going to do the research. We're going to see why. We're going to see if it's connected at all. So what are your thoughts, Sue?
Yeah, I think we're we're in a rock and a hard place kind of situation. I mean, absolutely, the best protection we have against the biggest known threat right now, which is COVID-19, is the vaccine. So get your
Mm-hmm.
vaccines, people, and just trust the science. But yeah, I think that there probably will be some side effects or after effects that will come out, and hopefully most of those will be mild. But it's just the reality that we're all in right now. It's not an ideal situation, but and to your point, Vanessa, I think maybe people are studying everything a little bit more closely now because the vaccine is new. And so some of these things that look like they're actual relationships will turn out maybe not to be, hopefully.
Yeah.
But anyway, interesting.
Yeah. And there's goodness, I remember when I broke my arm, and this is obviously TMI, right? We're talking about menstrual cycles. When I broke my arm a couple years ago, and people who are usually regular, any kind of like change is kind of like worrisome. It's like, hey, this is different. I haven't done that. I haven't experienced a change in my menstrual cycle before. I am one of those people that are very like regular, I should say. Um, it was the first time ever that I had skipped a month. And it was my body that kind of had this, traumatic experience. And I think that the broken arm, the broken bone really did affect it. So I also know with the COVID vaccine, if it is correlated and they find that there is some correlation, the second shot really put me out for the count. Like I remember just feeling completely drained. It almost felt as though I had kind of like when I've been dehydrated, if I've had food poisoning before. So that's kind of when I read the article, I was like, I could see that maybe being a situation where there was something that my body reacted to in an interesting way, right? That I'm not used to, and it kind of affecting my cycle because it's stress on my body.
Mhm.
So anyway, just thought it was really interesting, and since we talk about women and women's health, I thought it was appropriate to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on really quick, I want to jump into the Apple iPhone update. And I know that by the time that this episode releases, we'll probably edit this out, but anybody who hasn't downloaded the latest Apple iPhone software update probably needs to do that, because there's a known cybersecurity company. Actually, it says cyber spy company. They're kind of like professional hackers that can hack into iPhones and Apple products without you ever knowing, without you ever having to click on a link or anything like that. And typically this company, they're called NSO. It's an Israeli sort of spy company. And typically they do this for governments to try to identify potential iPhone or Apple product users who may also be involved in nefarious activities. However, it's kind of unprecedented in the sense that you can be hacked without ever having to click on a link or do anything. So if you haven't downloaded that new update, it just came out, I think yesterday, Monday, the 12th of September. So make sure you go ahead and do that. So I just wanted to pop in and let you know that.
Yes, please do that. Protect yourself. It was a super easy update. I feel like it was the shortest update ever that I've downloaded from Apple.
Yeah.
Usually it takes forever, but yeah, did that last night. So thank you for bringing that up, Sue. Okay. Last week we talked about it briefly, how Facebook and Ray-Ban have been teasing these glasses, these AR glasses, smart glasses. And last Thursday, I believe, is when they unveiled like what they are, how much they're going to be, etc. So we're going to talk about it. They're more smart glasses, I feel, Sue, than AR glasses, because we've worked in AR before and we know what augmented reality is, putting an overlay, graphic overlay up on top of like your real world scenario. So these smart glasses, I feel from the description, do more of like what the Ray-Ban or the Bose glasses do, as far as like playing music and audio commands, those types of things. However, the thing about these is they have cameras embedded in them, and they look very similar to the Wayfarer Ray-Ban, genre of glasses. Okay. And there are 5 different styles, but they have 2 5 PM cameras on each hinge, a 3 microphone built-in speaker, Bluetooth connectivity, touchpad, and you can directly upload the content that you record with the cameras onto your camera roll, Facebook, etc. However, as cool as that might sound, and it's cool that they look very much like everyday stylish glasses, there are some privacy issues. So when you purchase these glasses, you're agreeing to, I guess, like this verbal purchase agreement that you're not going to do the things that they're asking you not to do. And they're not intended to do, which is record someone when they don't know that you're recording or without their permission, and taking those photos and doing whatever you want with them. And they have things like LED light to signal when it's recording. There have already been reports of people putting tape on them so that people don't know that they're recording. Well, Facebook says, well, that's not the intended use. That's against the agreement. That's against the agreement that you, like, when you made that purchase, you're not supposed to do it. So it's interesting. I have not seen them in person. They're $299, so they're pricey. But again, they are stylish. And if you like taking videos and pictures without really much effort, you wear your glasses and you do it. They're just, obviously, a lot of people are talking about the privacy issues, obviously public bathrooms, walking around, nefarious use. As always, we always go down that dark hole. But what do you think?
Yeah. Well, I think I agree with you. They're not true augmented reality glasses. And I think they're supposed to be like a waypost for what will eventually become augmented reality glasses. I think what what Facebook is saying is that they're glasses that happen to have some technology in them, as opposed to technology that's trying to shoehorn itself into a pair of glasses, which is to say they're very lightweight. They only weigh, I think, 5 grams more than a traditional pair of Ray-Ban Wayfarers would weigh. And you can wear them for 6 hours at a time and charge them with a portable charging device, and then occasionally take a picture or get a little bit of video, although it can't process the video on the device. It processes it through your phone. But yeah, and you can listen to music. So of course, it is a question about how people are going to wear them and what kinds of pictures they're going to take. And I mean, somebody's going to get hold of those glasses and do something that they shouldn't do with them, because that's
Of
just the
course.
reality of technology. So do you not have the technology? I don't know. I don't think that's realistic, but yeah, here we go.
I know. We'll see. And I think, again, for the average person who's really just wanting to wear them to capture, videos and pictures of their family, their friends, like just everyday feel good things. If we lived in a feel good world all the time, these are great, right? They look nice and they're not obtrusive, that whole thing. But we just know, what's going to come from this. It's just,
Yeah.
it's a very, very, very slippery slope.
And, Facebook and proponents of this say, well, you can take pictures of people with your phone too, right? And be sneaky about it. But it's a lot more obvious, I think, when you're
Exactly.
holding your phone and trying to take somebody's picture without them knowing, versus walking around in a pair of glasses all day long. So I think it's the introduction of another layer of privacy concerns that technology, that personal device technology and wearable technology
Mm-hmm.
is going to have going forward. And
Yeah.
so it's just something for us to all be aware of and think about.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like, they look so nice supposedly on the outside. There's no Facebook branding. I mean, it's all Ray-Ban. They look so much like the Wayfarer that it does. Like, you wouldn't be none the wiser if someone right next to you potentially was recording and was wearing these glasses. You would just think they were wearing glasses. Like, there'd be no type of like questioning, basically.
Right.
So the article I read said on the outside they're very much Ray-Ban, but inside they've got Facebook DNA. So I don't know.
We all know Facebook has such a great reputation for their data privacy and protection. Anyway, they're called Ray-Ban Stories is the name of the glasses. And as you said, they're $299. So there you go. All right. Well, I wanted to bring up, this is sort of an interesting story that I just read last night, and I ended up watching Jurassic Park again.
Oh, nice. It's a throwback.
Because yes, there is a company called Colossal, and they just received $15 million in backing. It's a company run by serial entrepreneur named Ben Lamb. And their goal is to reintroduce the woolly mammoth into the modern world, into the modern ecosystem. And they're going to do this by taking Asian elephant DNA and adding tweaks and things to it. I think there's 60 genes from the woolly mammoth that outline its specific characteristics. And they're going to use elephant eggs or tissue to combine the Asian elephant DNA and what they know about woolly mammoth DNA and recreate woolly mammoths on the planet. And the idea for why they want to do this is that if they release woolly mammoths into the Arctic tundra, because of climate change, the Arctic tundra has been getting, I guess, growing more moss and more green life. And woolly mammoths would knock all that down and expose the permafrost that is necessary for Arctic tundras to survive. So anyway, it's a climate change kind of technology is what it's being tied to by reintroducing these ancient species to the earth. And it sounds crazy, but well, I thought it was a little crazy until I started reading about it. They have a Harvard genomics pioneer, Professor George Church, who was the driving force behind the Human Genome Project, who is on board with doing this. So we may have in the next 4 to 6 years, they're saying woolly mammoths reintroduced on the earth. What do you think about that one?
I know now why you're watching Jurassic Park. I mean, it sounds just like that. Yeah. I mean, it's still incredible. We talk about these stories all the time, and I don't ever want to get desensitized that we just have the technology to be able to do that. That's just pretty incredible. But yeah, all the things, great, amazing, cool. And then like, what rabbit hole is that going to take us down eventually? Because we have that, technology to do that, to do those things. So yeah.
Well, and there are skeptics, of course, with this. And they say in order for this to really work, in order for mammoths to stop permafrost thaw, you would have to have hundreds of thousands of woolly mammoths in the Arctic tundra. And other companies and scientists have tried to do this in the past and have said that they would be able to do it and haven't been very successful at it. So there's a lot of skepticism out there. But again, it's like the question that they raise in the movie Jurassic Park. I think it's Jeff Goldblum's character who says, just because we can,
should we?
should.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Absolutely. Wow.
anyway.
I just, again, I say, I think in a few years, should this be successful, are we going to be selling tickets for people to see the
Mhm.
new woolly mammoth in
Could
in a
be.
in a controlled habitat? So yeah, all right, we're going to skip over to Facebook again really quick. Yesterday, there was some information that came out that they have exempted high profile users from their rules, which they say apply to everyone. So anywhere from anyone from celebrities to um, politicians, athletes, etc. There are documented cases of either pictures or information that was posted and then eventually taken down, but that they did give leeway to these people. And all that to say, it's sad because there are so many other people out there that are perpetuating misinformation out into Facebook land, and they get put in Facebook jail. And their argument is, oh, I'm being censored. Oh, I'm being this. Oh, I'm being that. Facebook is, holding my hands behind my back. And this gives those people some type of like weight, right? They're like, see, look, they're letting other people do that and they're not letting me do that. So I struggle because obviously there's plenty of people out there that I don't agree with what they're putting out into the universe. But I think that if there are going to be rules, that everyone should be held accountable to those rules. And just because you're a celebrity or have some type of financial status shouldn't exempt you from the rules that everyone else has to abide by.
I agree with that. But I think the reality is, isn't that true across all industries and
Mm-hmm.
all, cultural landscape, right? Is the people who pay to play or who are the bigger players can get away with things that the ordinary person can't. And you would like to think that the technology companies are a little bit, that they would be more forward thinking
Mm-hmm.
in how they handle that, but apparently not. So
Which is, again, I just go back to like the fact checking that Facebook does, that many people who are very politically spirited on Facebook talk about all the time about how it's not fair. And this is
it's
giving
true.
them
It's not fair.
weight, right? So, and I don't like that. I'm like, this just goes against everything. I mean, everything that you're trying to do, like for good, you're not doing it across the board. And that's where you have people that like then start saying, oh, see, they're not doing it across the board for everyone, and they should be. And if I'm going to be held accountable, they should be held accountable too. So
Yeah.
really crazy. I don't know how
Maybe.
you get around it at this point. Like, I think
Yeah.
there's just so much out there and they've been around for so long that I don't know. I don't know how they get around it.
As long as there are people in charge of companies, which there always will be, there'll always be human biases and mistakes, and the system will be probably the same as it has been
Mm-hmm.
before. So anyway, but it's interesting to know. It's interesting to know that some folks get a slap on the wrist and others get shut down. So anyway, I had one other piece of technology news that I wanted to share, which I thought was kind of interesting, and it's coming out of Singapore. And Singapore recently released two little robots. They look a little bit like the size of an R2D2, and they roll around looking for people who are violating laws, various laws. So it could be you're smoking in public, or you parked your bicycle in the wrong place, or you're violating pandemic regulations like congregating in groups of more than 5 people. These little robots, they're called Xavier, is the name they've given them, report that to the central police station, and they also call you out in public. So I just wanted to share that. I think that similar kinds of technology has been used even here in the US, not in the same way that this is being done exactly, but like drones, police forces have used drones to sort of surveil areas. And there's other sort of robots and technologies that have been tested out. But in Singapore, apparently, and Singapore is known for being very strict with their laws
Mm-hmm.
in general. And so these little robots are rolling around now and looking for violations and letting you know if you violated the law, and also letting the police precincts know that you've violated the law, whether it's a big law or a small one. So anyway, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, no, it's an evolution of the technology, because I was thinking we just recently went to visit my sister and family that came over from California in New York. And if you're driving on 95 on the East Coast to get to New York, which we were to avoid having to fly, there are a lot of tolls as you get closer and closer to the city. And, every once in a while you're not aware and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to be able to pay cash. And it's like, oh no, oh crap, I'm in the wrong lane. This is easy pass only. Oops. And then you get the nice little violation in the mail, which I got yesterday. That toll was $16. Probably was a lot less if I had the cash to pay then. But all that to say, it's like the evolution of that, right? Now you have robots on the street catching you, then telling you, hey, you're violating the law. Here you go. Here's the ticket. So evolution of that technology. But yeah, I think that, those types of robots have existed and now they're mobile. So yeah.
Exactly. What a world. Anyway.
What a time to be alive.
Yes, exactly. So we just like to cover again some of these interesting things that are going on in technology because they affect our lives, our real everyday lives. And so those are all the topics I had for today. Vanessa and I are we're reworking the We Get Really F podcast format in the coming few months, and we're going to start having regular segments on health, technology and health, technology in your profession and career advancement, and just some more general topics as well. And we're going to have regular guests on who are experts in those areas. So I'm really excited about that. And definitely follow us at We Get Real AF is the name of our podcast. And it's our handle here for the podcast on Instagram and across all social channels. So
yes,
just, stay tuned about that. I'm excited for that.
Me too. Thanks for joining, everyone.